Good afternoon. All right. Welcome to the November 5th, 2025 regular meeting of the Savannah-Chatham County Board of Education. It is great to see so many people present today. I always love to see an almost packed house. To start today, we will start by asking you to stand for the national anthem.
Who do we have singing today?
No.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am very pleased to present to you today to sing the national anthem, the Garrison Voices Glee Club. These students are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They're already members of the classroom time ensembles, but these students audition and they stay after school and they work on different repertoire, and they're very much the face of Garrison's music department. They are directed by Kristen Donaldson, who is in her second year. We are so fortunate to have her today, and the Garrison Voices Glee Club. Would you please remain standing after the pledge, after the singing of the national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was great, guys. Excellent. Excellent.
Great job.
Let's hear it again for the kids from Garrison. Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion that the board approve the agenda as printed and presented, and/or make any amendments needed.
You're fine. Okay. All
I need a
right.
second.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Second. All in favor? All right. Dr. Watts?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. As November is our family engagement month, I wanted to start off this meeting with a message that I feel is vitally important because our families and our students are our partners in education. As you all know, families play an important role in how we educate our students and they also play a role in how students are prepared for school each and every day. Parents and families, your work to ensure students follow the expectations of behavior at school is also important. And I want you to know that what you do each day as a parent to convey the importance of expected behavior contributes to the way we establish a positive learning environment in each of our schools. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank an overwhelming majority of our students and our families that come to school each day, make good choices, show respect for others, contribute positively to our school communities and our school district as a whole. I want to acknowledge that our families and our students, your actions reflect the values, for the majority of our students, that we strive to uphold and help build upon a safe environment. Your actions and choices do not go unnoticed. But the safety of our schools is not just one person's responsibility. It's our collective responsibility. Unfortunately, there have been some incidents this year where our students have not demonstrated correct choices, and their behavior has been disruptive and harmful. And those incidents have took place in the forms of fighting, making threats on social media, and other disruptive behaviors. Violence has no place in our schools, not today, not tomorrow, and not ever. Some students choose disruption over discipline. We have a few students that choose aggression over respect. And we have students that also make choices around violence instead of peace. We cannot and we will not allow those choices to define our schools. So let me be absolutely clear. Any student who engages in violence on one of our school campuses will face consequences. Those consequences are clearly laid out in our student code of conduct, and those choices will mean or could mean some very serious legal charges as well. Criminal acts will be reported to law enforcement and the district attorney. There are no exceptions, and there will also be no excuses. If you choose violence, if you choose to fight, if you choose to be disruptive on one of our campuses, you as a student will be held accountable. These are choices that not only have a negative impact on students today, but could also have an impact on their futures, and that is what we do not want to do. Accountability alone won't solve this. We need everyone, students, parents, teachers, and staff, to help stand together on this. We need students to speak up when they see something that is going to go wrong or something that has gone wrong. If you see something, say something. Tell a counselor, tell an administrator, tell a parent if you are having an issue that you cannot get resolved on your own. We need our students to step up and have courage to report things in a proactive way so that we can intervene before they cause disruptions. And parents, let me be clear and firm at home with you that you need to also be clear and firm at home. We need you to reinforce expectations of behavior, to make it clear that when students make bad choices, there will be consequences. We need you to partner with us in education. These conversations create defining moments when we decide the kind of schools we want here in Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools, and the kind of schools that I believe we both want are those that have no place for disruptive, negative behaviors that keep the majority of our students from learning each day. As your superintendent, it is my expectation that every school, not just some schools, but every school is defined by an environment of respect and calm and joy so that it is a conducive learning environment. We will meet this challenge together, and we will continue to celebrate so many students in our district who are making right choices and doing the right things every day. Let's continue to work together to ensure that every school remains safe, respectful, and inspiring for every student to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. All right, our announcements today. Monday, November 10th, is a staff planning day. That is no school for students. Veterans Day is Tuesday, November 11th. It is a holiday for all district staff, school staff, and students. Finance Committee meeting is next Wednesday, November 12th, at 9 o'clock here at Whitney. Capital Improvement Committee meeting is Tuesday, November 18th, here at 2 p.m. Academic Excellence Committee meeting is Wednesday, November 19th, at 2 p.m. Our Thanksgiving break is Monday, the 24th, and Friday, November 25th. That doesn't sound right. Look at that. Is that correct? No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. Monday and Tuesday, November 24th and 25th. That doesn't look right to me. Anyway. Here you go. And then, exactly right.
We're going to take a few days off
Just
for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving break. This is the holiday from Thursday the 26th through November 28th. All district facilities will be closed in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. And there's more. Audit Committee meeting, December 11th, here at Whitney at 8 a.m. And our December board meeting is December 17th here at Whitney. Remembrances. William Lodeman, date of passing 8/3/2025. He was in tech specialist support in the technology department. If we all could stand for a moment of silence. Yes.
So on to some positive Student of the Month announcements and our celebrations for the month of November. So the Superintendent's Student of the Month for October is a sixth grader at West Chatham Middle School. This student is described as ambitious and eager to learn. She participates in the REP reading program to help her excel in that subject. And she now is passing that class with flying colors and holds a 94 average. Her regular ELA class, that's English Language Arts, is steadily going up, and her hard work is paying off. Oh, do I need to slow down?
Ahora para unos anuncios del estudiante del mes en octubre. El estudiante del mes en octubre, elegida por la superintendente, es un estudiante del sexto grado en la escuela intermedia de West Chatham. Esta estudiante es ambiciosa y tiene muchas ganas de aprender. Ella participa en el programa de lectura de REP para ayudarla a sobresalir en esa materia y ahora está triunfando en esa clase con gran éxito y tiene un promedio de 94%. Su calificación en la clase regular de inglés está subiendo constantemente y su dedicación está dando fruto a medida que crece su comprensión en esa materia.
This student's regular ELA class grade is steadily going up, and her hard work is paying off as her understanding of the subject grows.
Y como había dicho, que su calificación en la clase regular de inglés sigue subiendo y su dedicación está dando fruto porque tiene más comprensión en esa materia.
The Student of the Month's nominator, Ms. Michaela Savannah, says she is very studious and always does her work.
Su nominadora, Michaela Savera, nos ha dicho que ella es una estudiante muy estudiosa y siempre hace sus tareas.
She is quiet, respectful, and smart, and all of her teachers say that she is helpful and very focused.
Ella es tranquila, respetuosa e inteligente y todos sus maestros dicen que es muy servicial y enfocada.
And our student was nominated previously by her art teacher, Mrs. Boyle, who said she worked very hard in art and even did extra work when she finished.
Y nuestra estudiante fue nominada previamente por su maestra de arte, la señora Boyle, quien dijo que ella trabajó muy duro en su clase de arte e incluso hacía trabajos adicionales cuando terminaba sus tareas.
Our Student of the Month goes out of her way to make sure other Spanish-speaking students knew what they were doing and understood their projects, and this made a notable difference in class with her presence.
Además, la estudiante hacía todo lo posible para asegurarse de que otros estudiantes que hablan español supieran lo que estaban haciendo y entendieran los proyectos de la clase. Hubo una notable diferencia en la clase con su presencia.
When asked what drives her to succeed, our Student of the Month said she is very motivated to get good grades so that she can obtain a scholarship for college to become a nurse one day to help people.
Cuando se le preguntó qué la motiva a tener éxito, nuestra estudiante dijo que está muy motivada por obtener buenas calificaciones para poder obtener una beca, para ir a la universidad, para estudiar, para ser enfermera y ayudar a las personas.
Please help me congratulate Sulamita Cinto Pineda, the Superintendent Student of the Month for September.
Por favor, ayúdenme a felicitar a Sulamita Cinto Piñeda, la estudiante del mes en octubre elegida por la superintendente.
Sulamita will be taking home several gifts from our sponsors, including Members First Credit Union, Advertising Specialties, Georgia Southern University, Gulfstream, and Savannah Schools Federal Credit Union.
Sulamita se llevará varios regalos de nuestros patrocinadores, incluyendo regalos de la Unión de Crédito de Miembros Primero, los especialistas de publicidad, la Universidad de Georgia Southern, Gulfstream y la Unión de Crédito de las Escuelas de Savannah.
In addition, Sulamita and her reading class will receive copies of her favorite book, The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss, donated by our sponsor, E. Shaver Bookseller.
Además, Sulamita y su clase de inglés recibirán copias de su libro favorito, El gato ensobrerado, de Dr. Seuss, donado por nuestro patrocinador, E. Shaver Bookseller.
I would love for Sulamita's parents and family to please stand.
Me gustaría que los papás y la familia de Sulamita, por favor, se pusieran de pie.
And also Sulamita's West Chatham Middle School family, the Wildcat family, if you will please stand. Special thanks to her nominator, Michaela Savetta, and her school principal, Donna Jones.
Y damos un agradecimiento especial a su nominadora, Michaela Savera, y a la directora de la escuela, Dr. Donna Jones.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias.
On to more good news. The superintendent's good news and more calls for applause. The Georgia Department of Education announced the 2025 list of distinguished and reward schools designations, which honor the highest performing and most improved Title I schools in the state. Distinguished schools recognize the highest performing Title I schools in Georgia, while reward schools are Title I schools making the most significant improvements in the state. Savannah Classical Academy was recognized as a distinguished and a reward school, the only distinguished school in Savannah-Chatham County Public School System, and one of only 9 schools recognized with both designations across the entire state. 4 other schools were awarded with a reward school recognition, including Georgetown K-8, New Hampstead K-8, the School of Humanities at Julian Gordon Low Elementary, and Schumann Elementary, the former Schumann Elementary. Congratulations to those schools, and your hard work is recognized and applauded. Congratulations also to Marsh Point Elementary student Dorothy Dean. Dorothy Dean was named the overall grand prize winner of this year's Fair Bear writing contest. Dorothy was one of 3,349 students who submitted an essay statewide in the competition. The Fair Bear writing contest invites students to hone their writing skills by writing a story inspired by Fair Bear, an American black bear that roamed near the Georgia National Fairgrounds in the 1980s and early 1990s. Dorothy was not the only winner from Marsh Point Elementary School. Savannah AC was also named Savannah-Chatham County Public School District's 5th grade winner. Congratulations to Marsh Point Elementary School and their very talented students.
Distinguished, they're all here. The principals are here.
Those students are here?
No,
The principals.
this distinguished and,
If the principals of our distinguished and reward schools would please stand.
yes. Please come forward.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, thank you.
Again, congratulations to those principals, their teachers, and also their students for their hard work. And thank you for making it known that they were here. I did not know that you all were here. So I apologize for the oversight, but I'm glad someone caught me so that you could be properly acknowledged. Hats off to our outreach and engagement team and their family engagement coordinators. SCCPSS has been recognized as a high achiever in family engagement by Project Appleseed, a national campaign for public school improvement that advocates for public school families in America, working to empower parents and communities to take an active role in their children's education and advocate for policies that support student success. Our Family and Community Engagement Advisory Council, our partnership with Parent University, and innovative efforts like the Digital Family Learning Workshop ensures that families are supported and equipped as essential partners in education. Well done. Also, congratulations to our Reach Scholars, Grady's Cubas Cordona from Pulaski's K-8, April Estrada Flores from New Hampstead K-8, Isabella Wynn from Godly Station K-8, Allison Miranda Reyes from Savannah Classical Academy, Destiny Roberts from Charles Ellis Montessori K-8, and Carter Strickland from Coastal Middle School All of these students have been designated Reach Georgia students, and it's the first state of Georgia needs-based mentorship and college scholarship program. Students who complete program requirements receive a scholarship of up to $10,000 to be used towards the cost of attendance at a University of Georgia school in the system or a technical college system of Georgia post-secondary institution. The program has been in place since 2012, and SCCPSS has participated since its inception. We are very proud of these students and wish them the best as they not only finish out school in our school district, but move on to post-secondary opportunities. Congratulations to the students in the 28th class of the Memorial Medical Explorers who put on their white coats at a special ceremony last month at the Mercer Medical School Auditorium. Students from Beach, Jenkins, New Hampstead High School, and Savannah Early College, as well as Woodville Tompkins, gained up-close, first-hand experience in the medical field as a part of the 2025-26 class. This milestone celebrates their progress and commitment to exploring and advancing healthcare careers. We are very proud of these future healthcare providers. And finally, congratulations to all of our certified administrative professionals. We are proud to celebrate Tiffany Coles, Cortea Smith Westendick, Tanya Walker, and Teresa Lawton for successfully completing the Administrative Professional Certification Program through P.A. Douglas. This professional development milestone reflects their commitment to excellence and growth in their roles with the district. The training has equipped them with enhanced skills in communication, organization, leadership, and strategic support, further strengthening their contribution as administrative professionals. Please join us in congratulating them on this outstanding achievement.
Please come forward. Thank you so much.
And I will now pass the next agenda item, a report from Professional Senate, over to our Teacher of the Year.
Our last meeting was held on October 23rd. Our session was focused on district grading practices, and this was facilitated by Dr. Butler and his team. Teachers were broken into small groups and held conversations on topics about grading formula, makeup work, extra credit, and credit recovery, and minimum number of assignments. Our dialogue was structured around the guiding questions of what's working, what's challenging, and what should we look at or rethink or redesign. The Senate is looking forward to continuing this conversation about the district's grading practices in the future, and our next Senate meeting will be held on Thursday, November 20th. Thank you.
Mr. Hedeker?
Thank you, Mr. Board President. Continuing on your agenda today, under Board Matters, we have several policies for the Board to review. Item 6.01 is Board Policy BBFA. This is policy on school councils. This is under a 4-year review. First reader. We'll come back for a second at the next subsequent meeting of the Board of Education, subject to your review and comments. Primary changes were to add some more clarity to the rationale of what school councils really do as stipulated by state law. Sometimes we get some questions about school councils. They are an advisory board, advisory group. They're also subject to the same open meeting law requirements as our very own Board of Public Education, for example. So those things were added to the policy that you will see. And we also stipulated the school council's role when there's a vacancy for a school principal, for example. First reader will come back December 17th for second read adoption.
Ms. Grabowski.
Having been a former school council member for many, many years, I certainly appreciate the role that school councils play in our schools, and just want to ask for some clarification on one of the roles that has historically been served by our school councils, and I think is being modified based on trying to receive broader input when we have changes in leadership at a school. And so I just want to clarify that the last paragraph, the change of the last paragraph really shifts the role of the school council from the more hands-on involvement maybe in the interview process to a more advisory role in crafting the leadership profile that would be utilized to recruit the person, so that's more about the profile and less about the individual. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I know this will be a change for some of our school councils, and I hope that they will work with us as we move forward. Unfortunately, in the past, we have had school councils really abuse that opportunity to the detriment of another school, and it was extremely disappointing. I think that this change is good, aside from that particular incident. But I think this is a more robust way to continue to engage our school councils, but also engage our broader communities as we look to fill those really important positions of school leadership. Thank you.
Continue.
Continuing on your agenda, item 6.02 is another policy review for the board. This is a first reader. We'll come back for a second read adoption. You'll note that we do have a mid-period review here. What triggered the look at this particular policy area was the note that there is safety requirements under State Board of Education rule for students and staff who may be working in labs, for example, and handling dangerous materials such as milling, grinding, or stamping of solid materials, heat treatment, or tempering of kiln firing materials. There's a requirement to wear safety goggles, safety glasses, safety protection of the eyes. We have taken that language, which is memorialized in the State Board of Education rule, and lifted it into our policy to be very clear about that component. We did, when we looked at this policy, realize there was a little bit of overlap where you had emergency drills referenced under safety when we already have an emergency drills policy. So we appropriately took that language out, and you'll see on your next item we put it in there. So policy EBB, mid-period review, will come back for a second read adoption in December.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Yes, thank you. The last paragraph, that's a slight typo in officers with the F's, lowercase, uppercase. And also, since this policy isn't accompanied with a regulation, we might want to include the entry protocols by the superintendent for school entrance integrated within this policy, or perhaps include a regulation, because many schools don't have the same, they don't really use all the same procedures and protocols. We want to be consistent across the board, so it just might be good to integrate those entry protocols by the superintendent.
Ms. Grabowski.
On page 2, under break-ins, it looks like we're changing the language from shall be promptly reported to should be promptly reported. It's my understanding in the use of those words that shall is mandatory and should is not. So can you explain the difference while we're changing
Yes,
that
so
language?
when we went through that, you'll see that actually in a few areas in this particular policy, where the review from a statutory requirement of reporting that we will be reporting those instances, but there was a concern from the legal team that that created a ministerial approach in policy that would set us up for policy violations. So it remains as written that it needs to be done, but it was changed from the must to the other language to get us out of that concern about that ministerial duty.
Okay, so that's if there's oversight and not immediately reporting, that we won't get ourselves stuck? Is that?
The commitment should be the same, whether it's shall or should. This is really speaking to Georgia appellate courts or other courts in terms of what that language is. There's a legal design behind it.
Right.
It should not affect operationally whether it should or shall. We should be doing it, and people are held accountable for not doing the shoulds as well.
Okay.
It's just based on the current state of the law, it feels like a prudent approach.
Okay, I will certainly defer to the attorney on the appropriate language. Thank you for the explanation.
Dr. Brinkman?
I disagree with the need for the word.
Mr. Brinkman, will you get on your microphone, please?
Will,
Shall or I should I? Is this your ministerial duty to tell me I should or shall use my microphone? Because,
I mean, should is not.
yeah, oh, I know that kid that broke into the school and I don't want him to get in trouble and I only should report it, not shall report it, so I'm not gonna report it. And I think in that, I'm not breaking my policy. I mean, it's just, that's how I read this as somebody, this said I should, not that I have to, that I should. But I'm not a lawyer and lawyers like to mince words around.
It's the school reporting to law. The language is pertaining to a school reporting it to the appropriate law enforcement agency, correct?
Is it? It doesn't explicitly state
says.
that. If I pull out that
Reported to
one
the appropriate
paragraph,
law
it just says
enforcement
break-ins,
agency.
regardless of the extent or loss of damage, should be reported
To the
to the
appropriate
appropriate
law enforcement agency. Yeah.
We have a law enforcement agency. I mean, I'm the teacher, I'm the principal that wants to cover up the student too. I'm not reporting it because this says I don't have to. I don't know. That's just it is confusing to me, and that's how.
Dr. Hoskins Brown.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Brinkman. I have, battled on this mountain before about should and shall in policy. So I agree with you. We've gotten the same explanation. It's an execution and enforcement issue. I think we should. I understand the rationale, so I'm with you on this. I don't know if it will continue to be a losing battle, but it creates much more responsibility on our part to use the word shall. And apparently there is a reason that legal, and I trust our legal guidance, there is a reason, perhaps failure to do similar things in other ways, that leeway is important for us. Or perhaps there are instances where the intent of shall is met without having reported it in the way that is listed here.
Ms. Grabowski?
Would it provide a stronger motivation to, without using the word shall, to say failure to do so may result in consequences as determined by the superintendent or something to that effect?
May as well put shall.
Well,
Well, also, what is the current protocol policy set by the superintendent?
and that was
The
gonna be my
current
next-
protocol policy set by the superintendent might say you have to do this,
right.
but that's not attached, so.
Well, right. It may be it's in a regulation.
Dr. Howard Hall?
And that was my point. I just didn't say anything. When I gave my recommendation, I didn't get any feedback on entry protocols being consistent across the board. It just went on to the next person's hand raised, and there were no discussion on it. And my concern was, I noticed that some schools, you may have the scanners where that visitors are required to scan their license, and maybe other schools that they don't have scanners, just for an example. So I recommended
Yeah.
that those be integrated, the protocols are integrated within this policy or attached to regulation. There was just no feedback, so I was just sitting here, well, you gonna say anything?
Yeah, so your feedback was certainly taken as far as staff goes, and noted it right here, regulation on school entry protocols. One of the things to note, however, is we do have the Raptor entry visitor hardware, which is a piece of technology that by law, anyone who's a visitor to a school has got to report to the front office and sign in and use that system. So if we have a school somewhere that is not doing that, we need to know about it so we can follow up appropriately and ensure that it's being done, because that is a requirement by law, and we spent money and invested in that Raptor system to ensure the safety of our students for those who are visiting our buildings.
Dr. Howard Hall, are there other aspects of school entry that you're speaking of, other than what Kurt is mentioning around having the license stamp? Are there other
Sometimes it's just,
aspects?
well, sometimes it's just great for a policy to be accompanied with the regulation. For example, clear bags.
Clear bags?
Put clear bag in my car, because
Okay.
many times I forget when I visit a
Yes.
school, I have my purse. So it's just sometimes good to have an attachment of a regulation so that the readers can be clear and the public can be clear
Very
on
good
those
point.
protocols.
Because just this year, we had a lot of confusion about clear bags. So being more explicit about what is actually required and should be happening at every school, shall be happening at every school. Will happen.
Subject to any other comments of the board, we are happy to take this back to legal and talk more about the should, shall, and see where the strongest level of enforcement is before triggering the concern that they have. And Dr. Howard Hall, we will certainly look at a regulation to accompany this as well for the reasons stated.
Continue.
Continuing on our agenda, we have, which is related to the policy we just reviewed. This is Board Policy EBBC, Emergency Drills. This comes under the 4-year review. However, this was a great opportunity for us to really look at the commingling of language within existing policy and ensure that it lives in the right place. What we were able to do in this review was take the drills that was referenced in safety, put it under the correct area of EBBC, and also state and provide some updates on the work that we've done through following best practice under emergency protocols from state and federal agencies, which came to us on recommendation from our emergency manager under our campus police team. So you have this in front of you. This also is a first reader. We'll come back for a second read adoption in December.
Ms. Grabowski?
Sorry, I'm asking all the questions. Do we have a protocol about parent notification, particularly for like active shooter drills? I believe there is a requirement in state law about parent notification.
Yes, we do. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I had a little
I know you're having to
technical issue there.
multitask.
So we do work with our schools under that requirement of those intruder drills.
Right.
And when we do have a safety drill that is required that a school is doing, we have some pre-planned language for them to utilize whenever that drill is happening. We like to notice our parents in advance of that. I will say, when we originally started doing that, the energy around ensuring that was done was strong. So if there are instances where some schools may not be having that same energy, we'll certainly send out those reminders. But we do have language for schools to utilize whenever there is an intruder drill that is being done, so they aren't concerned and obviously think that there's a true actual intruder in the school when the drill's being done.
So I raised that to ask if that needs to be embedded in our regulation to require that parent
We'll
notification.
take a look at it. Yeah, parent notification and communication would be a simple add to the regulation. Yeah. Subject to any other comments of the board, moving along on your agenda, we have another policy for you. This is item 6.04, board policy. We'll back that up a little bit. We'll get back to JCAB searches and interviews. There it is. This is item 6.04, mid-period review. This is only changes to the regulation. So no modifications to policy on this one. So we bring it forward to the board for the board's review and feedback. Subject to any comments conducted here today, we'll move forward with the changes of this regulation. One of the reasons that we brought this forward was there's some language in here when it talks explicitly under an administrative search of a student, which if it's administratively being done, that is not a duty of a police officer. So our SROs would not be involved in the administrative search of a student. However, to add clarity in the language, we did state, which is allowable, that for the purpose of safety, a SRO officer could be present during the search, but not to conduct the search. This is, again, a administrative regulation for the board's review.
Dr. Hoskins-Brown.
Thank you. On the policy, I just have the question about paragraph 4. The board reserves the right to apply this policy to any student who is on board property. And my question about this, I know I raised it last year when we reviewed this. Are we clear with our students that this means even if you are on property but have been dismissed? And the reason I ask that is I remember a young person who got in trouble because they had been dismissed. They were on a bench waiting to be picked up by a parent. The school was doing a search, and so all the children who were in classrooms were out lined up to be searched. The child was asked to comply, and the child was like, no, I'm dismissed. I'm waiting on my parent. And they got into a whole world of trouble by not following instructions. But in their mind, I'm dismissed, so I'm not part of the core of students. So just raising that to make sure that folks know, because that young person got in trouble and went through a whole lot more trauma for no good reason.
Yeah.
Because as far as they were concerned, once they had been exited from school, they were not subject to any other school activities of that nature.
Yeah, great point. We appreciate you raising that up. I mean, we can certainly add some clarifying language on the policy side that does say that the execution of this component of our policy in on-campus meetings at any time of the school day, before or after, or extracurricular activities after, et cetera, et cetera. We can find language, I think, to make that very clear.
Okay, thank you.
More of a language in the policy or communication, because in the moment, a kid's not going to say, let's refer to the policy.
Well, so it was two things. The campus police were incorrect.
Oh, got it.
Because the campus police were drilling on this young person, and they, again, it may be communication with everyone.
Yeah, got it.
Because the
Sounds
child
like to me it's a communication gap.
Yeah, so, and I'm fine with it being handled by communication and education or in the policy. I'm just raising that example because it was pretty stark to me, and I was like, man, that kid was not wrong.
No, it's an excellent point. I think that when we think about the administrative search, it's based on the idea the student is subject to the school and the school action. So I could see a legal argument. I've been dismissed. I'm not subject to an administrative search, yet you're subject to a safety-based search, or you're on property that you could be subject to a safety-based search. So maybe it would make sense for us to clarify so we just have an eye towards that scenario and fit it through in the right category as to what that would be.
Thank you. Because if you're a young person who's already being dismissed because you're in trouble, you're already on 7 or 8, and then somebody comes over and messes with you, it goes further. But my main comments are about while on the regulation, while on district property, students are not permitted to use their own personal Wi-Fi data plans, all that. Is there a technical barrier for that? Do we have blocks?
So you're jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
But we can certainly.
Okay, never mind.
We can talk about that.
Never mind. No comments on the current regulation. Wonderful double-sided copies. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Thank you for your comments so far. You're bringing this to us. 2 quick questions for you. Should or shall parents be notified before or immediately after a search is conducted on a student? Just asking.
Yeah, so there's a requirement of notification. Let us look at that language and get that very clear.
Okay.
And we will confer with our legal team on that. But yeah, I mean, that's part of this process. It's why it's named. But we want to make sure the language is explicitly correct.
Okay. Another question. Can you tell me, in the writing it says reasonable grounds. Can you define what reasonable grounds are and who does define that? Is it a school by school, or is it a consistency across the board?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tee up our counsel, Attorney Dennison, to help a little bit with this one. But I will say the reasonable grounds has a certain level of inherent safety in it, allowing our administrators and our team who are in schools that if they have a rightful concern, which is where you get to that language, of something that is occurring that could affect safety of the schoolhouse, that can trigger these searches. I will ask Attorney Dennison to expand a little further.
The purpose of that language is, I think, the same reason the courts gave that language to us, is so that we could apply that reasonable standard in a case-by-case situation, because it's very difficult when you talk about the Fourth Amendment to really say this is exactly what happens every time. That's why we have 400,000 cases interpreting the Fourth Amendment. And that reasonable ground is a standard that's sort of applied in a case-by-case situation. It's a more generous standard in terms of allowing that search to happen for the school officials than it would be for law enforcement. And that language is really a term of art that is applied, and it's based on all the circumstances in the situation and what is deemed reasonable for the people involved in that situation.
The short answer is it's the principal's discretion. It's
The-
reasonable suspicion.
The law is designed to allow people to use their reason to determine whether they should do it or not.
That's a great example of having quality policy language that is obviously supported legally to give our administrators a flexibility to make good decisions that are based, in this instance, in safety. Because you may have a scenario at one school that appears one way and children can approach it, and we all know that you have to be flexible in the way that you manage and keep your eyes and ears open to what's happening in the hallways and on the campuses of our properties in the spirit of safety.
And let me just backtrack to your point about the shalls. And we will find there are shalls. The shalls live in our policies. They're in many places. We are looking at shalls and shoulds in scenarios where someone could say, you didn't do that, and therefore you presented a risk. Like, I can see how there could be an argument that that particular provision resulted in a risk. You talk about using dignity when you search a student. We do not want anyone not exercising the dignity of the student in the search, because we know that requirement is already there. But what we are trying to guard against is creating liability for us keeping our students safe. And those shoulds are shoulds that will be done, but we do not want to be sort of punished in terms of legal liability because we're doing the right thing. So we want to set up policies that keep the students safe. We want to be aligned with the laws that do that. But we also, when we look at something that is safety related, sometimes you will find that language that will be more careful about those shalls and shoulds for that reason. It's just a strange state of where the law is right now. I understand everyone's concern. We may be coming forward with more shalls and shoulds, but we're not catching all of them. As you can see from this policy, there's other shalls that are still there. But that is the process that we're going through because we believe it's in the best interest of the district and all the taxpayers of this county.
And I just want to add to that. We have limitations what we can do as a law enforcement officer. And so this language is really important and help maintain safety in our schools, because where we may have limitations, the administrator or the principal has some leeway to do more to help us make that that school safer and address the situation. So language is very important, and it is part of what we call it's all in the layered security, actually, and in terms of how we address situations, and everything is situational.
Any other comment?
Excellent feedback, all duly noted, and again, we'll continue to work on this one. It was originally deemed as a regulation change, but some of these feedback may trigger an actual policy review that we'll bring back for second read adoption in December. Okay, the big policy for today is the next one that does contain references to Wi-Fi. This is the JCDAF, and this is use of electronic devices by students. Of course, HB 340 that we're all very familiar with, which is the Distraction-Free Education Act that requires no use of personal electronic devices bell to bell for K-8 students. There is a requirement under this law that boards of education have policies in place by January 1, 2026. So we have a first reader for you today with a scheduled second read adoption in December. There are some nuances to this policy that we want to make sure are very clear, and because this is a large shift in the way we've been doing things for a number of years, our Chief Academic Officer, Mr. Derek Butler, has come to the podium and has a few slides just to call out some key components of a policy in here, because we have extended it with a recommendation to go beyond the K-8 spectrum and have some controls for high school. Mr. Butler.
Yep. So thank you, Mr. Hediger, and great afternoon again. Wanted to highlight some key updates, and here we are on the screen as part of our first policy read. As Mr. Hediger indicated, we wanted to highlight those key updates that represent an important shift from a bring your own device model, which is part of the current policy and regulation, to obviously the distraction-free learning environment model in alignment with House Bill 340. So wanted to first just kind of share the language here for the board and for the public as well. As you can see in your policy language, a lot of red. So wanted to emphasize again just the shift here in the policy language. The most important piece that we wanted to bring to your attention, just to note, the regulation is in alignment with the Distraction-Free Education Act. We did want to call out for our elementary and middle school grades K-8 that the language does reflect during school hours, and we specified those times just for clarity. So that's instructional time, class change time, recess, et cetera, et cetera. We also wanted to highlight some of the technology that would be considered personal electronic devices. So that is included in the regulation language as well. And then, of course, as part of what is expected, we wanted to highlight the storage requirements as part of the language. It does not provide the specific storage device, but we did want to highlight the district-approved storage device, and you'll see that here in just a moment with our 9-12 grade band as well. As Mr. Hediger indicated, we did include, as part of feedback that we received from the board, from our schools, and even from our principals here recently as well, the expansion of the distraction-free model at grades 9-12. We do want to highlight here that the regulation does allow for some flexibility. And so you'll note here that it indicates during instructional time, and it does not specify during the instructional day. So wanted to be very clear and note here that they would be permitted to use during class, change, during breakfast, lunch, etc. So that is the distinction between the K-8 language and the 9-12 language. However, you'll note with the language for the storage protocol, it is pretty consistent. The same is true for the compliance and enforcement as well. Devices must be collected and stored daily in accordance with the established procedures. Testing protocols, that language currently exists within the regulation. And then, of course, we made some changes regarding the disciplinary process, removed the language in the regulation, but referenced the student code of conduct. So again, wanted to share that to outline some of the consistencies across K-12, but also show the distinction between K-8 and the high school level, notwithstanding administrative guidance as well as parent communication that would provide some more specific information regarding how we operationalize this. So at this time, I'll turn it over to the board for any discussion, any questions.
Sure, there are questions. Ms. Campbell?
I like this. It's very comprehensive, and I guess the storage devices we'll get to. Without knowing when I wrote these notes that we would have the shall, should conversation, I do think that the progressive discipline model that we reference in the student code of conduct, the language is like a little squishy for my liking. The behavior contract signed may be required before privilege reinstated, that kind of language. I don't think that should be debatable. Otherwise, there's no teeth in the policy, but it's just me. I'll make one more last-ditch effort to make this extendable all the way into high school. I find that these students are, based on the evidence, the most developmentally prone to, the distractions that we look for and some of the negative side effects of cell phone use. So I'm not sure that, I understand fellow board members' reasoning why they want to limit it, but still give them some autonomy and decision-making. The only thing is that some of the issues that we see involve things that are happening during class change, or, where fights are brewing, or the ability to manage crises are even, restricted in situations where there's a multitude of cell phones and everyone's calling out. So I guess I would just ask that we think about the fact that we do issue Chromebooks, that it's not like they don't have access to electronics, and that we do what we can with that which is, within our lane, which is education, what happens inside of the school buildings. We can't control anything that happens outside, but we can control what happens inside, and we can offer them a different way, which is not to be distracted all day or be waiting for class change or lunch so that they can just immediately get on their cell phones. But just my opinion. Thank you. I do like this policy otherwise.
Mr. Smith and then Mrs. Hall.
Again, thank you for this policy. My question to you would be, how can we distinguish the difference between distraction and innovation reasonably?
So is this in relationship to the use of the electronic devices in the classroom?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think what's important, in Board Member Campbell, thank you for sharing that. We are provisioning our students with devices, and I think it is important for us to make sure that we provide our students with the opportunities to leverage technology, new and innovative ways, and we will be able to do that as part of our one-to-one, and I know that may open up another conversation, but it is something that, as part of our review of this policy, we needed to make sure that we had the capacity to do that. And so just want to note that although they shall not have access to their devices during instructional time, they will have access to district provision devices that allow for those kind of innovative learning experiences.
Those tablets or those devices have great blockers. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm not sure if that's the term, but it might be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, blockers.
Yeah.
What's the right? Restrictions, filters. Gotcha. Okay.
Mrs. Hall, Mr. Kachmar, then Hoskins Brown.
I'd like to ask Dr. Watts, in your conversations with our student senate, what is the general attitude and input from our students, our high school students?
Yeah, so I think our students, as you might imagine, I think they want to have the opportunity to maintain their devices. And many of the students that we engage with at Student Senate are students that are generally responsible with technology during class, but they also recognize that sometimes it's a distraction for them. So I think they appreciate having some parameters, but they recognize that, again, you know, they're tethered to their electronic devices, but I think they appreciate the opportunity to have some parameters, particularly during instructional time. So I'll leave it at that. There was some really engaging conversations around that. In fact, we'll have them here at an upcoming committee meeting to share some of their findings and conversations related to some other topics, but there'll be an opportunity for them to share with you as well the conversations around the use of electronic devices in classes.
And since you did ask, I will give you their words from yesterday's Student Senate meeting. So as recent as yesterday. When asked about the topic of cell phones, we asked them to preface their statements with the phrase, "what if?" We were encouraging them to think boldly. So I'll read you just the first few comments they made. What if teachers and students were all held accountable for use of cell phones? What if students had mandatory brain breaks? What if teachers included cell phones in their lesson plans? What if students were taught how to use AI and other technology correctly? What if class was engaging? That's straight from the students. I read it straight from the chart that they produced yesterday.
Very good.
Mr. Katchmar?
Well, just I'm very happy to know that they'll be coming to engage with us on this. My other thought is, are our principals ready to behave consistently across our 11 high schools so that we don't get calls that this happened with my child at Jenkins, but then my child at Johnson was able to blah, blah, you know. So is there a consistency embedded in this that we can expect from our administrators?
Yeah, no, and I think that's one of the things that they really desire. They want some guidance that provide some specifics so that there is consistency across all schools. And so just as recently as this week, we had a chance to get some final feedback from them prior to sharing the policy as a first read. And, you know, obviously, they recognize the importance of having a distraction-free learning environment, but they also understand that we have to prepare our students for the future. And part of that is teaching them how to manage, be responsible, make good decisions, even in the face of some of the temptations to pick up their devices. But generally speaking, they appreciate some guidance that allows for consistency across all schools.
I noticed at our legislative breakfast on Monday that the principal made the cell phone discussion part of his morning announcements. And it was an elementary school where they are not allowed, you know, to have them at all. But he specifically said, remember, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, your phones go by. So that daily reminder, as opposed, so I can't tell you that, oh, I forgot. Because daily, the principal is starting the day off with that reminder of what the conduct should be about your cell phones.
Yeah.
So I think things like that help really embed it with the faculty and the kids when they hear that consistently day to day on those morning announcements.
And as you may know, as we've shared before, many of the schools have already taken the liberty to put in place some structures that restrict cell phones during certain times. So this transition will be helpful in ensuring consistency across all.
So this used to be the personal it's use of electronic devices, but it was focused on personal electronic devices. I think in the edits for elementary, middle school, and in high school, we don't clarify between personal electronic devices and any school supplied devices. So it just says, for example, high school students will not use, display, or turn on a list of devices, including electronic devices, during instruction time for non-instructional purposes. So that would mean you can't turn on an electronic microscope, you can't turn on a Chromebook, you can't turn on a school-supplied computer. We just need to clarify what we're actually going after here for both categories, for elementary, middle, and in high school. And if I'm misreading it, tell me. But later, towards the end of the policy, we specifically reference personal devices multiple times. So I just think we need to clarify what is permitted and what isn't. My question, and I have a question and a comment. In the high school section, it says high school students will not use, display, or turn on the list of devices during instruction time for non-instructional purposes. Then it also says lock up your personal devices. So does this mean a teacher can say, go get your cell phone and do the flashcard quiz to prep for this exam, or everybody get your iPad if you have one and do some research?
So that is something that we're going to go back and make some revisions around. So I've made note of that.
That issue is to be
those are
clarified?
conversations that we had prior to the first read.
Okay.
So to answer your question, the answer is the expectation is that students utilize district provision devices. So personal electronic devices will not be utilized for instructional purposes. So we do need to make sure we clarify that language.
And that, of course, assumes everybody has immediate access to a working district device if it's being used in that school or in that classroom.
That is correct.
Okay.
There is a capacity piece that we've had an opportunity to collaborate with the Office of Technology and Business Systems around to make sure that we are ready to make this shift so that all of our students in our classes have access to operable devices in a timely manner consistently.
Okay. My other question or point is we state that devices should remain stored and locked in district-approved storage devices, but then we say, do what we tell you with your devices, but then we assume no responsibility or liability for theft, loss, or damage to your personal devices. So I think we're going to get some pushback on that. We just need to figure out how those two work together. I have concerns about trying to disclaim liability when we're telling them what to do with their devices. And then my final comment is, we talked about this at the retreat. I think I was the lone voice. I do not think we should be banning personal electronic devices in high school. I think we have existing rules about when they can and cannot be used. I think they need to be enforced first, and then if they're not enforced, they should be handled as a disciplinary matter with the students and a coaching matter with staff. I think instead of banning cell phones or personal devices outright because of a small group of misconduct or a small group of kids engaged in misconduct, we are harming the majority based on the acts of the minority that we deem inappropriate. And what we should be doing is teaching digital literacy to our students. We should be teaching proper, timely, contextual use of their personal devices, because when they graduate from high school and go into the workforce the next day, their boss is not going to say, give me your cell phone so you're not distracted when you're working on this program or you're working on this project. They're just going to say, don't do it. And if you do it, you're fired. We're not helping prepare them for real life. The military doesn't say, well, I'm going to hold your cell phone. The boss doesn't do it. College professors don't do it. So I don't think we're helping the majority of our kids who use their devices appropriately. And it's a discipline issue. It's a policy enforcement issue. I have had a high schooler in my house for a decade. And I've had their friends in my house for decades. I've been on trips with them. I've been in schools with them. They are constantly using their cell phones, not just for Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. They are constantly using them to go through flashcards to prep them for tomorrow's test. They're constantly using them to prep for an AP exam. They're doing both. Do I think personal electronic devices and social media are harmful to our youth? Yes. They're harmful to me, and I'm in my 50s. They're harmful to teachers who are scrolling through social media at school. They are a problem not just for kids. And banning them outright because of a small cohort of misuse, to me, is not the right answer. So I can't support banning in high school. I do support strengthened discipline and strengthened rules around them. And then the final thing I will say is we discussed this with our teacher senate, and we did surveys. And the majority of the teacher senate, which is our teachers of the year and support persons of the year for our schools, were not in support of a ban in high school, period. Majority of the responses we got in our surveys from families were not supportive of a ban in high school. All right, so this board is deciding to take an action that is inconsistent with the feedback we've gotten from a majority of our professional educators and from the public. So I'm just pointing that out. We are up here, we're elected to make a decision that we think is in the best interest of the district. I understand the arguments about why cell phones and personal devices should be banned. I don't disagree with a lot of that reasoning. Where I come out on average, though, is we should teach proper use and accountability and not an outright ban.
Dr. Howard Hall? Oh, I'm sorry. Then Howard. And Relsky.
Thank you. Yeah, so I really just was going back to my question about enforcement and accessibility to technology. But I will agree with a lot of what Mr. Kashmar said. Using technology, the use of technology connects to part of the psychology of addiction that we're not going to manage well. When it was banned before, and when it was banned before, it was a nightmare to manage, and then we unbanned it, and it's been a nightmare to manage, and now we're banning it again, and it's going to be a nightmare to manage. So I'm empathetic with all of the scenarios around the use of technology because it's just not going to be easy to manage at the high school level, period. I don't really have strong feelings like, oh, we shouldn't ban it or we should ban it. It's going to be a behavioral problem either way, and I think we will continue to learn and emerge. I appreciate our staff, our teachers, and our leadership that have given their best guidance on how to do it, but it is going to be problematic. It's problematic in meetings where you're watching adults struggle to put down their technology and pay attention at the meeting. So I'm with the kids who said, hey, show us how to do it and then we'll do it because y'all not doing it. So let me get to something I can get my hands around, simple, like students not being permitted to use their own Wi-Fi data. Do we have barriers? Do we have blocks in the schools? I know at one time we did, and then I don't know if we still do. Not blocks to just some sites. I mean blocks to being able to use an outside network. I don't think we have a block, do we? No. Okay. We're getting a no, so it's not blocked. Okay. Will it?
If
are we looking to try and block it?
Well, I believe, and I know I'm with Lynn to our attorney here, but I believe it could be an FCC violation to block any type of jammer for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so that's why we don't do that.
We're getting a positive here. We're getting a positive from our affirmation from our teachers.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I love learning at work. Okay, and then how are violations of not photographing, reproducing video or audio other staff members and students, how does that enforce? Because we see clips and videos of young people all the time. So what's the real practical way? And this might not be your area, so you might need to defer me to someone else, but.
Yeah,
But it's against the rules, so why are we putting the rules if we
But
can't
we don't
enforce
know
it?
when a student has recorded something.
Well, when it's posted and we see it,
But we don't know who posted it. It could have been airdropped from my phone to your phone to her phone, and she could actually be the one that posted it on social media.
so fair enough. Why do we have this in here if we can't enforce it?
I don't know.
I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm at 8, starting with no student.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm just pointing out challenges to enforcement why do we even try to modulate that? And also in Georgia, isn't it the case that you can record as long as one person is aware and they're not a minor? Okay.
This policy is not based on that particular limitation. It's more based on the ability to govern what happens in the sites, on the sites, and investing that in the principal. So you see there's an exception where the principal site supervisor can direct other uses. We did try to carve out that exception because we know that there are violations and problematic behavior that gets caught on film. They're supposed to, or on video, they're supposed to give us those photos immediately to the administrators. I don't know how often that's happening, so there's supposed to be some immunity there. But there's also the restriction under the Parents' Bill of Rights that against, with parents having the right to opt out from any recording or video of their children or photographing of their children while at school. And whether we don't know if schools have, how many students have exercised that right or parents have exercised right in a school. That's another prohibition against the general filming of students that's out there based in the law. So we concur with your concern about the enforcement and the consistency of enforcement and how, if we have a rule, it needs to be enforced. And that's a similar concern as you see in this policy about not using your own personal Wi-Fi service, because we know that people are at school saying, "Come, Mom, pick me up. I'm on the phone. Or are you there?" And these sorts of things. So, that's one of the reasons we made that adjustment. But it is important that the rules we have in place, that we are enforcing them. That is, we agree with that principle.
Thank you. It's a shall should, are we going to do it? Can we do it? And why chase our tails if we know that we can't do it? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Okay. Because he's looking over there, I was wondering. Yes, I know that we've already piloted these use of electronic devices at some of our schools. So what does it look like typically in a high school classroom at the beginning of class as students secure their devices and the end of class when they unsecure their devices?
Yeah, so good question. And several schools have leveraged the existing policy to enforce restrictions of cell phones during the instructional block. And so that may look like when students enter the classroom, teacher may have a cell phone locker. The students place that in a secure device, and schools have different ways of securing that. And at the end of the class period, as students exit the classroom, they retrieve their device during that class change time. There are circumstances currently where schools have that process in place, and teachers may, although we don't see this often in those scenarios, they may allow students for instructional purposes to use that device. But generally speaking, that structure is in place where students secure that device upon entering the classroom, and they retrieve that device once they leave the classroom.
Have there been any issues with students' devices being stolen during that process of unsecuring those devices?
So I'm not able to provide any reports around that based on my observations and visits to classes in schools that have started this process and conversations. That has not been something that has been a concern. But again, they have very strong procedures in place. But I'm not able to report of any specific scenarios.
So I would chime in there.
I'll just say this right quick. Just lastly, I think that we're in the middle of the road with high school. We hadn't banned the phones totally. We are allowing them to use them during transitional times and lunchtime before and after school. So I think it's almost fair, in my opinion, that we're not taking them totally away. We are giving them some leeway at the high school level, and I appreciate this comprehensive plan for that reason.
Mr. Barnes, you.
Yeah, I do want to chime in about the theft of devices or cell phones. So we haven't had anything major concern raised up to our office regarding that. And the reason being is many of the principals have purchased devices that can lock up the actual cell phone in the classroom, and they're actually desk lockers. And so it is pretty hard for students to try to steal it because it is secure, and it's most of the time it's on the teacher's desk or behind the teacher's desk. Where we have seen them, the large concern is not so much in the classroom, it's just during the transitions where they may not have been locked up. But in terms of, the security, we have not seen that to be a major concern.
Ms. Grabowski?
Thank you, and thanks for the work on this policy. A couple things. On the securing of the devices, in the first paragraph, it says district-approved storage devices provided by the school. And then in the second paragraph, talking about high schools, it says district-approved storage devices. I would like to see us strike provided by the school until we determine what devices we are using. We've had conversations about some device storage things that are pretty expensive. And if we are looking at something that's a more expensive alternative, I think we need to maintain flexibility and not limit ourselves in our language as to what those storage devices are and if there might be a cost associated with them. I'm not saying that's what we should do, but I think we need to leave ourselves that leeway until that determination is made. So I just would suggest striking provided by the school.
Thank you for that
and the
feedback.
regulation.
Just for clarification, was that for just 9-12 or
Well,
K-8?
right now, it's only in the K-12, it's only in the first paragraph that it says provided by the school. In the 9-12, it's not specified that they'd be provided by the school.
Okay.
The conversation earlier about, you mentioned that you were looking at modifying the language about the high school students. Well, first, let me just say, I can see both sides of the argument that Ms. Campbell and Mr. Katchmar made. I can definitely see both sides. I do think that given what's before us, it's proposed, I would like to see us leave the flexibility for our teachers if they see a benefit to cell phone use in the classroom, that we allow the teachers to have that option. I use the example, I believe, in the retreat of band teachers, that students will use their phones as metronomes. It's really hard to put a Chromebook on a music stand with music. So I would make that suggestion, and perhaps some additional conversation with teachers could be helpful around that. I appreciate Mr. Katchmar's comments about, because hearing Ms. Campbell talk, like the part of me, I have a high schooler, and there's part of me that I would love nothing more than for him not to look at his phone all day long. But to Mr. Katchmar's point, I have seen him use his phone in ways that are productive. And so it is a complicated issue. In the policy, currently, we had language in there, and I'm not seeing it right now, about a principal being able to determine the cell phone usage at his or her school. Is that flexibility still within this policy? So if you had a high school principal who wanted to say no cell phones bell to bell, could they do that under this proposed policy?
So no, and that's part of what we wanted to, as part of the revision, to move towards a more consistent approach. So I'm not sure if the language sort of discourages that, but that's not the idea. The idea is that they're implementing this in the very same way across all of our high schools.
Okay. Is that something that the principals want to see happen? If, we've talked about culture a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I have been in high schools where, as a guest, I'll go into a classroom and I don't see a single student on a phone. I've been in another high school. I was actually there as a guest speaker for my work. I don't think a single student made eye contact with me because their head was in the phone. And I was like, wow. So again, I see both sides. And anyways, I just think that would be something that might be worth some additional discussion if we just talked about discipline, right? And if the culture of the school is one where discipline is a challenge, and this is a tool that a principal feels is appropriate for a bell-to-bell cell phone ban, I just would like our principals to have that ability to implement that if they think that's what is necessary to maintain a more rigorous and structured environment.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Sorry, Dr. Watson.
All right. Anyone else? Yes.
Saying to me, that raises an equity issue. I could see all kinds of problems with that, although I see exactly what you're saying, you know, but I can certainly see where the schools where the kids are more prone to be disobedient. I just think that at least trying for consistency is best. Either that or let's go Sean's route and say, we're getting you ready for the world and we're not going to deal with this, one or the other. Although I still say the state, we're going to do all of this wonderful work, and the state's going to send something down here that tells us what we're going to do, but we'll see.
Dr. Brinkman?
Thank you, Ms. Grabowski, for bringing up that this would supersede our current policy that some principals have used to ban from bell to bell all day long during instructional time, correct?
Yes, but
Yeah.
what I will say is that, and I would have to yield to Dr. Barnes, for those schools that are doing it bell to bell at the high school.
Yeah, at the high school. That's
Because
what
I'm
I'm
not
talking
sure if
about.
that's happening at our high schools currently.
Oh, I thought we had a couple that were pretty much bell to bell. No? Okay.
No.
But we have some that have gotten pretty close to this.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What I would like, then we'll go around the circle again, Dr. Watson, just keep spitballing, it's fun. It would be interesting, knowing that we have a sample size that is already implementing something similar to paragraph 2, or the intent of paragraph 2, to see some of the metrics coming out of that school, both academic and disciplinary, versus our schools that have not implemented anything in terms of cell phone. Because I feel like those sample sizes will be large enough to appease our resident PhD on the study size and to maybe wash out some of the other confounding variables of students. Yeah.
Sorry, I was on my technology. I wasn't.
That's okay. No, that ain't me. I ain't got to. Oh no, that's Dr. Oh, please no. Never assume me with the greatness. I'm below that PhD. I don't have that. No, that would all. I'll defer to Dr. Hoskins Brown on the sample size needed, and any other co-founding variables that we need a large enough size to wash away what could be.
Well, I'm furloughed right now, but when I get back to work, I'll do that analysis for you.
But this is analysis for the school board. We haven't furloughed you there. You got all that time in your slippers.
Ms. Campbell?
At the risk of belaboring this any longer, sorry. One thing I would say that Ms. Grabowski very astutely brought up, and I had not considered, is that if we're going to create a policy that applies universally, whether it be from K to 8 or 9 to 12, I would ask that at least we keep some autonomy within the leadership at these schools that says they can ban it or not. It can be this policy, it can be a total ban in the high schools if need be, because as we crack down on, behavioral expectations and the like, I think we should leave it up to each administrator at each school who knows exactly what the students need and what their struggles are. I would hate to not give them the ability to further restrain the policy or make it looser. It seems like now they have no option except for doing exactly what this policy says.
For K-8, they have no option because it's a Georgia.
Of course.
It's Georgia.
Oh,
right?
you know I'm here for that. I mean in 9 through 12, as far as the principals go.
Ms. Grabowski?
So I do like in high school not having it for instructional time unless it's for instructional purposes. And I realize somebody may say, well, how do you know if it's for instructional purposes? That already exists. I don't know if it's a district policy or just in a school where they're not supposed to use email for something that's not an academic purpose. And I know teachers have caught students using email inappropriately, and I think that same thing could happen on devices as well. So I just want to, because that was brought up, I do support not having the cell phones in high school during instructional time unless it's for instructional purposes. So I just want to clarify that.
Okay. Dr. Howard Hall?
I just want to we need to be sure that the expectations and the guidelines are clear and consistent per each school, because if we aren't careful, we're going to begin to stereotype certain schools, because this school here, they get to do this with their cell phones, but the other school, they're not allowed to. So to be fair, it needs to be clear, consistent, and fair for each school. We don't need to start giving the schools the autonomy to do as they please regarding this policy, because if that's the case, there's no reason why we should have one. So the policy needs to be clear and consistent per school.
So until 8th grade, they're not allowed to use them at all, right? So a child has gone through our school, gone all the way to 8th grade without being able to use it. And we're now going to give that opportunity to an age that has not been trained on the proper use of cell phones, or has, just looking at the way kids are, if you're not allowed to do something, as soon as you're allowed to do it, what happens? You do it with a vengeance. So, this is not going to be an easy decision. I do understand what everyone is saying, but I also want to remind us, we're here for academic excellence and to provide the best opportunity for our kids to learn. So anything, and I love that it's called distractional. Any distraction we need to eliminate. We have not even talked about the other things that kids are doing with cell phones. We have not talked about the planning of fights. We have not talked about the cyberbullying. We've not talked about any of that. And I know that when you start talking about that, you're like, well, but that's not most of our kids. Well, it only has to happen to a couple of our kids. So I just encourage us to look at all of our kids count. And all of our kids matter. And if doing without a cell phone all day and, oh my God, having to concentrate on your academics all day, well, that's the business we're in. So, all right, anyone else? Thank you. Thank you. I know this is hard work.
Excellent feedback from the board. Thank you very much. We have continued work to do on this particular policy. I do want to remind our viewing audience that the requirement is a policy in place by January 1st. However, the full implementation of this policy would not be applicable until the following school year. So the law says no later than July 1st of 2026, which would be the 26-27 school year that is coming up. So that's an important nuance, and that will be part of our communication plan in second semester as we ready for this shift in the way we offer education in Chatham County. The next item on your agenda, item 6.06, is Board Policy GA. This is a 4-year review, general personnel. You'll see a number of revisions here, but the real energy behind this one is to provide some real clarity on those things that would make an individual ineligible for employment within our public school system, and how the requirements of screenings for a full-time regular employee is the same used for those seeking temporary employment. This is a first read. We'll come back for a second read adoption in December.
Dr. Austin Brown.
Thank you. In looking at the second section on full-time and part-time employment, that the appointment of an employee to a position of principal, central office, department head, or any higher position may be made after board action. Where required by law, the selection process for principals will involve the participation of the school council. My question is, if it's required for one school, wouldn't it be required for all in terms of the involvement of school councils? Do we have, okay.
The problem sometimes has been that we appoint a principal versus going through the normal process. But what I think will happen as a result of the initial policy that we looked at on school councils, now that we'll be leveraging that group of people to provide input on the profile, it will allow all the councils, and even, I think we have 2 schools that don't have active councils. Is that correct, Mr. Barnes?
Yes, that's pretty much correct.
It will provide an opportunity, it will better define how they get involved and allow for broader participation and how that principal is selected to inform the superintendent on who the selection of the principal will be.
Okay, so I'm comfortable with that. I'm looking at this where required by law. Is it required by Georgia law? Because if it is, we should just say pursuant to Georgia law, you know, whatever section, blah, blah, blah.
I defer.
If it's not required by law, then we don't care, and we can just eliminate that part of that sentence. So if we could know that at the second read, that
Yeah,
might
we
be
can
good.
I mean, yeah, I think we're just, it's not required, but I think we were just using that as a catch-all in the future, but we can revise that.
Okay, thank you. And then applicants are ineligible for employment with the district if they are at the bottom, and one of them is under indictment and awaiting trial for any criminal offense. And then there's the superintendent may, at their discretion, recommend to the board an applicant if the conviction was a misdemeanor and has demonstrated continuous lawful conduct for at least 5 years. I have 2 questions. So indictment and awaiting trial for any criminal offense, can you be awaiting trial and not indicted?
Yes.
Okay. And then, and indicted means formally charged, you've gone before. That's what I need some help with. What does indicted mean in this instance?
It's typically going to be a felony charge because it's going to be subject to grand jury and there'll be an indictment. So if you're facing a charge that's not at the level of indictment, you'd be in a different posture until you were convicted.
So if you've been arrested but you haven't gone to jury yet?
What I'm saying is that you are in a it is a more serious, the indicted offenses are a more serious category of offenses because they are going to be what's going to go to the grand jury. It's going to be typically be a felony offense.
Right. I understand that part. What I'm asking is, if you've been arrested for an offense that would go to grand jury, but you haven't gone to trial yet, you're just kind of floating before your court date, how do you sit in this instance?
If you haven't been indicted yet for something?
Well, if you have gone to court and you have just been arrested, you've
Right.
gone to court,
You've gone to
bonded
recorder's
out.
court, you're going to state court, you're not subject to indictment, so you wouldn't meet the requirement there at that point in time.
I'll talk to you some more because I'm thinking about an instance where I think they would fall out of this.
Right.
Okay.
That they haven't gone to grand jury, but they have
Waiting
gone.
trial.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a violent offense, but I'll talk with you offline.
Okay.
And then the 5 years of lawful conduct for people who have been convicted of a misdemeanor. How did we determine 5 years as a good date? Because there's some folks that are still awaiting trial for things that they've
We
done.
didn't have any date before, and I think it's something Dr. Watson and I approve people all the time. I think we were just trying to come up with a number that we can have as a baseline
Okay.
to kind of look at. So I think that's why we did it, because there was really nothing in there before telling us at all, and we've been doing it. So we're just trying to get some guidance to ourselves to some degree, and the public to know kind of what to look for, what we'll be looking for there.
Thank you. And then my final question is, temporary employment in the bottom paragraph is limited. Central office departments are limited to 90 consecutive calendar days, but temporary assignments in school buildings or other places don't have a limit.
That
Tell
is
me-
true. Think about a substitute. We have a substitute teacher that may be working all year. Not that substitute is in line with this, but the schools we treat a little bit differently because they may be a little bit longer. We're watching kind of what's going on at the central level, but it just has to be renewed. It's not like they can't do continuously throughout. It's just that it has to be looked at through administration throughout.
Oh, okay, so it would just be temporary assignments in central office departments are limited to 90 consecutive calendar days.
And then they get
need to
renewed.
be renewed.
Right.
Okay, because this reads like temporary for 90 days, and
No.
you have to be made permanent, or you have to go away.
Agreed.
Okay.
We might just
Well, we
want to
can
say
reverse it.
it's reviewed every 90 days.
Okay, I would
Okay.
be fine with
Can
that.
work
Thank
on
you.
that. Subject to review, yes.
Okay, Ms. Hall, Dr. Bringman, Ms. Grabowski.
So, Dr. Watts, if we have someone who's already employed and they are arrested but not indicted, do they continue in their assignment?
It
So long
totally
as the
depends
arrest
on
is-
what they were arrested for.
As long as the arrest doesn't cover these particular items here, sexual and
I think it
child.
totally depends on
Yeah,
what
it
they were
depends.
arrested for.
Yeah, we'd have to look at an individual situation. It's not as, that doesn't fall under here, so we have to look at what that situation is that they may have. It's not a cut and dry that just because they have an offense that we would do it. We'd have to look at the circumstances around it. We would also look at, it could be that somebody accused somebody and there's not really, it was an accusation,
it,
but
yeah.
we're not just gonna, we're gonna look and see what it is. So
So when you said "we," you're talking about you and the superintendent?
superintendent, could be campus police involved, yes,
I see.
at the same time.
Okay, Dr. Bringman?
Yes, I'm going under the applicants ineligible for employment, number 2. So I'm convicted of a felony. I never, ever, ever can work again in our district.
That has been how we've been.
Is that Georgia law or is that just Chatham
That's
County
us.
law?
Chatham County. That's
Okay,
been, that's been us.
because I could be on the school board
Yes.
and hire and fire the superintendent, but I couldn't work in our district. And that to me seems very odd that I could have my restoration of my civil rights, wait my 10 years after the restoration of my civil rights and the 10 years from when I was last incarcerated for my felony. I've done what I'm supposed to do, and then I could run for office and I could be on the school board in the state of Georgia, but I couldn't work any job inside of the school district, and that just seems odd to me. After 5 years, I can get a gun. So it's very interesting to me that we have that bar set so high. And I understand y'all are talking already case by case. Are there certain felonies that we would have to have a longer list? yes, case by case, but I did something stupid when I was 18. It was a felony. I did something with money. Now I want to be a mechanic. I can't be a mechanic here.
But also think about a lot of those, there's first offender. So think about it. You can have a felony that goes through the first offender process that would not show up. So there is a court process way to get around it too. So if it stays, that's kind of, because there is a way to get around most of those through the first offender ones. That wouldn't get to
I don't know.
us.
I would. It's a very.
We can look at it, but yes.
Short, terse statement that to me doesn't seem like there's any flexibility, because 3 sentences later, we talk a bunch about a misdemeanor and flexibility, but the felony's like, boom, felony done. Just.
And 10 years is a long time for somebody to restore themselves.
Yes. Oh, it's a lot. I mean, there's lots of Georgia law and restoration of civil rights and stuff that we could. I was glad Dennison was behind you shaking his head on, was this Georgia law, which I could see totally it being Georgia law, that they don't, but if it isn't, it warrants some discussion. I mean, I'm not the person making the final decision anyhow, but I don't want to close doors on people that have done what in other areas of Georgia law, society deems they are okay to have their rights restored and be in certain positions and things like that. And we're just going like, nope, you can't work for us at all. Maybe we don't want the person that did X or Y to teach. We don't want the person that embezzled a bunch of money to be in finances. But there are definitely places where individuals that have done their time to society could work for us.
We're adding that now, right?
I mean, it is in red, so it is new.
Oh, it's not new.
It's not
that
new.
was there. No, that was there. It was.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in that strikeout section. It's not new. We're not adding something new. That's always been there.
Well, then it's in red. That makes it seem like it's new.
Okay. Ms. Kowalski.
Under the acting appointments for principals, it says acting appointment shall be for a period no more than 90 days. However, an extension may be granted. I know we have at least one acting principal who's been in place for more than 90 days. Do we feel that 90 days is the right amount of time? Does that need to be?
I think going back to Dr. Hoskins Brown's point about maybe changing that to review at 90 days.
Okay, so she was talking about that part too, because I thought that was.
She was talking about, I think, with
Yeah, she was-
temporary employment, but
we
I
can do
think,
review there.
yeah, but I think we could apply the same language.
Okay.
Because that's in essence what we kind of do in practice. We
Yeah.
review it, and then it just kind of rolls.
Right. Okay.
So I like changing it to we will review it in 90 days instead of, to me, the way it's worded now, it looks like it stops at 90 days, and then
Right.
we have to do some formal thing to
Right.
restart it.
Right, right. I do think with the role of acting principal in particular, having some clarity just for the benefit of the person in that position is helpful.
And the continuity of the school.
And, yeah, absolutely. So, but I like the adding of review. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Howard Hall.
Also, looking at the 90-day temp labor, in Title I, we would hire teachers, retired teachers, to go out into the private schools to teach in those schools on a 90-day temp labor application. And then every 90 days, we had to renew it. So has that changed? Are they allowed now 12 for the entire school year, maybe 8 to 10 months? Or do we
those are
still use the 90
still the
days?
same for those, except they're in our schools. So anything outside of our schools is still the 90 days, and then it gets reviewed. So certainly we can revisit that and do something different. If that's the will of the board, we can do 6 months, if that's how we want to do it. That's just something we've done as a check to be able to make sure that, but we could change that. I'm not bound to that if the board feels differently about that 90-day review and would want it to be a little longer. That's fine.
I think the sentiment of everyone is, if I'm capturing it correctly, and I want to make sure I am so we can get it right the next time we bring it through, is that everyone is fine with the 90 days as long as we add for review. Because I think the way it's worded now, it's worded in a way such that it lends itself to, at the end of 90 days, something stops, and then we have to do another formal process to restart it. When in practice, that's not really happening. In practice, it's a checkpoint for us to determine, but the way it reads is different.
I think, that is happening in that context related to, those contracts do end and do have to be formally renewed again. It's the schools that don't. But for those 90 days, that's what's happening. That is having them to have to redo that again. So I think we just probably need to change it to twice a
Say
year.
in review.
Or in review. Well, it's hard to do a review because we receive something that has a specific date. If we don't get something that says the date changes, we need something. So I think it's just better probably to change it to 6 months, and then that way once a semester, and then that way we're not doing it every 90 days. I think that might be the answer.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Mrs. Hall.
I just want to say, Dr. Watson, it would seem 90 days, that's a clear end of a semester. That's
It depends on, so I wrote a note to myself, is it 90 working days or is it 90 calendar? Like, is it work days or is it days?
It's
Because 90
actually-
days is really short.
It's calendar days.
It's calendar days. So it doesn't take us to the end of a semester.
Right. It's calendar.
Takes us barely to, like, a little bit after a quarter or about a quarter.
We could also simply add in there 90 days and may be renewed, because it doesn't mean, the way it's written right now, it sounds like it's 90 days and it must stop, and that's not the case. It can be reviewed.
And the thing would be to try to avoid disruption if
Yes,
possible.
we want to
don't
write it
need
in
the
such a way
disruption.
that lends itself to continuity.
Right.
Anyone else?
Excellent.
Continue.
Thank you. So continue work on that one. Again, we'll bring it back for a second review in December for official adoption by the board. Final policy review for the board today is item 6.07, GAMB, possession of weapons by employees. This is a mid-period review. Very simple addition in this language to the policy, which again, because it is a policy, will come back for a second read adoption in December. We've added references to Georgia Code 35-1-20, which is specific to
I don't think we have that one, Kurt, in the packet. I know what you're talking about, but it's not in the packet.
no, okay. GAMB was something that, that's correct. We issued this electronically to the board on Monday for inclusion with this agenda because it has a certain timeliness to it.
Yeah.
And the timely.
For instructional purposes.
So
And you shall be okay.
you shall use the phone. However, this, it's one line that has been added into the language, and it is specific to existing code 35-1-20, and there is the uniqueness of the fact that we have a police agency, department within our public school system, and this line clearly states the allowance for an officer to retain their weapon and badge upon retirement from the school district that was not previously included in this policy language, and that is the only singular change to this particular area of policy. This is a first review, first reader, would not be official until December, that is known, and was discussed in advance of this meeting.
Yes, Ms. Grabowski.
For clarification, does the officer's firearm belong to that officer, or does it belong to the district?
It belongs to the district, but under Georgia law, it can be, upon retirement, can be given to the officer.
And what's the value?
The value would depend on what the weapon is.
Average.
Chief or assistant chief? Got an idea? $100.
What's the average
We got
cost?
the chief back
I'm
there.
sorry.
Average cost of a weapon.
$800.
A weapon.
Yeah, the average cost of the firearm. This is customarily done throughout law enforcement, that once you reach the retirement requirements, that the award for that service, for that police officer, he's awarded his badge and his firearm.
I want to know the amount.
The amount, It would be a depreciated amount because it wouldn't be a brand-new weapon. It'd be the weapon that the officer carried during his duty service.
Okay.
So
And
it's a depreciated
Glock?
valued weapon, so
I
we
mean, I don't-
retired the weapon with the officer.
I mean, in theory, I don't have a problem with it, particularly if it's a tradition, but I have a problem with us providing a material value for an officer when we don't do it for all of our employees. I don't know, maybe I need to learn more about it.
It's a tradition in law enforcement that I don't know that would be a tradition in this, in the education
In the
profession.
education, I need to,
yeah.
like, think about this one a little bit more.
This
I
is
think,
the-
just-
this-
What would you get at the
There's a unique
educator?
crossroads here, obviously, with the fact that we have
Yeah.
sworn officers that are employees of the school district. And again, this is codified in law, and the law is specifically mentioned in the policy.
So is it something that we have to have included in our policy because it's
It's
allowed
our
in law?
option. We have the option of
To-
adopting in
right.
our policy what the law allows. So there's a special legal statutory allowance for it, and then we have to adopt a policy where we can do it, and the police also have to have their own protocol regarding the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Hoskins Brown.
Thank you. I can understand unreadiness in putting into policy a gift, a regular gift. I would ask that we consider that the depreciation associated with a service weapon, they're not being bought a new weapon to take with them into retired life. Just like my kids were laughing at me because I have an iPhone 6S. See, look at y'all. Y'all are laughing too. But I have my board phone is the iPhone 6S, which I have not lost or broken or damaged.
And you can take it with you.
I cannot take it with me, but I would hazard to offer that if I were to ask as a get off the board gift, can I have my iPhone
You can have
6S?
it. You can have it.
I think we can. The superintendent says that I can.
I think it would be $50 under our policy, actually, 50.
We'll put it on a plaque for you.
So I ask that we consider this with the tradition in mind, also considering the cost of many glass plaques and other gift type items that we give retirees that perhaps we're not so far afield of what it is. But your concern,
Is valid.
at least, is concerned and it is heard, and they can do the research to find out the value and the depreciation and whether it's not a responsible use of taxpayer resources.
Ms. Campbell?
Probably no surprise, but I support this. I think I think that this is a great thing for our police officers. I think that we're talking a Glock, I'm sure, right? And it's depreciated. They've carried it the entire time that
That's
they've
correct.
been. And they have been in the service, in service and protection of our students and the community at large for some time now, and may not have a weapon at home that's as functional or that's as taken care of or at all.
That's correct. And they've trained with this weapon their entire career, and they know the weapon well. And so typically when we bring a new officer on, we give them a new weapon. And so if they reach retirement, we think they deserve that. And that's the custom throughout the nation, actually.
Yeah, I support that. I think that's amazing. And I so it is a new weapon, or it's the one that they had?
One that they carried during service.
Oh, so the depreciation, as Dr. Hoskins Brown said, is, it depreciates like a car, when you drive it off of a lot. So, yeah, I'm for that. I like this idea. I didn't know it was a thing, but that's amazing.
Okay.
I just want to be, I'm not opposed to it. I just am sensitive to
It
the
makes sense.
perception that we're doing something for one group of, David Bringman. Anyways.
We figure out Oprah and everybody when you retire gets a gun.
No, I definitely would be opposed to that.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay, a very good discussion. That was item 6.07, comes back for a final adoption in December. That concludes the policy reviews of today's board agenda. We have two proclamations for the board to read into record and officially adopt. Item 6.08 is Proclamation American Education Week.
Okay. American Education Week proclamation. A proclamation is now presented recognizing American Education Week to highlight our public education systems as the backbone of our great nation, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. Today and every day, we celebrate public education and take a moment to honor and recognize the individuals working to ensure that every student receives a quality education. All employees of our public school systems are united in their work to equip young Americans with both practical skills and broader intellectual abilities in support of their productive futures. Thus be it resolved that the week of November 17th through the 21st, 2025 be proclaimed by this Board of Public Education as the 103rd annual observance of American Education Week in the Savannah-Chatham County Public School System and all throughout Chatham County.
I'll accept a motion. It's moved and seconded. All in favor? All right. And we actually have someone here to accept this today, our Teacher of the Year, Jennifer Hughes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Next item on your agenda is 6.09, Proclamation Retired Educators Day.
Maybe we should put proclamations prior to policy. So our apologies, you've been sitting out there for a while. Sometimes we have short policies review and other times they can be pretty extensive. But however, we appreciate you and I would just read the abbreviated version for the sake of time. Retired Educators Day. A proclamation is now presented for Retired Educators Day to recognize the retired educators who have touched and influenced the lives and generations of young people and who have motivated and inspired their students to use their innate talents and abilities to their fullest potential, prompting them to become responsible, contributing citizens. Retired educators possess valuable knowledge and use their vast experience and skill to enrich the education process in varied settings, often continuing as a major source of insight and direction in education for our state and nation. Thus be it resolved by the Board of Public Education that the day of November 5th, 2025, as declared by Governor of the state of Georgia, be recognized as Retired Educators Day in Savannah-Chatham County Public School System, and that every citizen join us throughout the entire month of November to recognize the lasting contributions of retired educators. Mr. Roger Moss, Board President, Dr. Denise Watts, Superintendent, and I'd just like to personally say thank you, retired educators, for touching the future of so many children throughout this generation. Thank you.
I'll accept the motion to accept.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? And we have representing retired educators, Ms. Brenda Roberts.
And others. So much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. That concludes the Board Matters segment of today's board meeting. Returning the agenda to you for the consent and other matters of today's agenda.
I'll accept a motion to accept the consent agenda. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right.
We do have item 8.01, which is a budget amendment for the 21st Century Community Learning Center grants. Ms. Rosalind Nathaniel will bring the budget amendment toward the board for action.
Good afternoon. Budget amendment, Title 4B 21, 21st Century Community Learning Center Grant, Fund 462, Program 1839. The Georgia Department of Education has allotted Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools federal Title 4B 21st Century Community Learning Center funds for fiscal year 2026. Since the original allocation of $2,362,767, the Godot has allocated an additional $997,233, bringing the fiscal 26 total to $3,360,000 as detailed by location in the chart provided. Accordingly, the Chief Financial Officer requests board approval to increase the fiscal 2026 Title 4B 21st Century Grant Revenue and expenditure budget by $997,233 to align the budget to the grant allocated. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget amendment shown above to the amount of $997,233 to align with the Title 4B 21st Century Community Learning Center budget with the grant allocation as approved by the Georgia Department of Education.
I'll accept a motion to accept. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Thank you.
Item 9.01, Budget Transfer, Fund 100, 10th Day Staffing Adjustment. The Department of Budgeting Services requests a $7,818,734 budget transfer for staffing and salary adjustments between schools because of the 10th day enrollment count. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer above in the amount of $7,818,734.
I'll accept. Moved. Seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Dr. Brinkman.
Yeah, and maybe I would just have not caught this in years past, but it's like, we know that this money is there and we're going to spend it for staffing and salaries. And I'm sure this is between a bunch of different schools, but why do we have to move it from our bank account to our bank account for salaries and staffing? It would make more sense to me if this was actually like showing how the money moved from one school to another. I don't know if that, it just, this means nothing to me as a board member or as like a citizen to show that we we had to move a bunch of people around because of the 10-day count. Parents understand that if they've ever been affected by it. But this is how much. Okay, thanks. But it seems like we moved it from the same account to the same account. I mean, maybe the X's are different in there, but I would think that they're the same account if it's salaries.
That's what the X's stand for. The X, we're saying that we're having to, it's $7,818,000 that we're moving between the schools. So the X's represent
All the
moving
different
it- All of
opportunities.
the different schools. So you'll be removing it from a school that had fewer students. And
Yeah, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand what's getting moved. It just, this looks like we're moving from salaries and benefits to salaries and benefits, where it really should be Georgetown Elementary, this much money, Hurd, this much money, or we have pulled this much money out of all of the schools after the 10-day count, and here's how it is being reallocated to all the schools. So I can understand, but also I think our citizens can understand what schools have been allocated different funding and what schools lost funding based on their 10-day count. And that's not anything, that's just what I would like to see going. I'm getting a lot of nods, so maybe I'm barking up the right tree.
Yeah.
I don't have that page.
Dr. Hoskins, I'm sorry. Dr. Hoskins Brown?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's the way the resolution is.
It just,
Yeah. So the only one I have after financial.
that's school food service.
Is the food service one.
Here's the point I'm making. This has a breakdown, all the accounts it's being moved from and.
Yes, oh, you're
That's
saying
the
that's
point.
how you like it.
That's what we're saying.
Yes, that's what it would look better.
Well,
Okay, I
that's
thought
the-
you were like, I thought you
sorry.
actually
No.
had some, I thought you had like all the schools. I was like,
So
how did
he's
he get a
making a
line
point of
item?
clarification.
You're saying that's the desired state. You
Yes.
want to see the breakdown in that form? Yes, I got it.
Yeah, what,
I
but
got it.
that, well, that wasn't what I was asking for.
Oh.
I would love that. That is a lot. But I like to get a lot. I was going to suggest more simply that the explanation in the resolution, the narrative be broader to say.
That could help too, yes.
You know, the department is requesting this transfer for the 10th day enrollment count, period. The action being taken is to move students in between school, students at, and move staff in between 13 schools to blah, 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 to align with the 10-day count. Just another sentence that clarifies right,
Happening.
like you said, why that account number is the same. It's not like we normally do transfers. Normally, we're transferring from different accounts. And this one, we are transferring from different buildings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Along the same, did you see what Mr. Cashmar was showing? It was the food service, okay. I like that, and that was what I was gonna ask, is something like that that's more line item so that we have, some sort of unified position control model. I know we have to reactively forecast in the middle of, 10-day mark or whatever to make sure that our QBEs match up with our student populations at schools. But having it line item, I know it seems like a lot, but I don't think it actually is, since we are accumulating this money into an account to move it based on the amount we took, right?
It
from
shouldn't be
these.
hard.
Yeah, okay, so we can line item them in a chart. Okay, thank you so
ma'am.
much.
We'll get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, our financials.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. All in favor? There you go. Thank you.
The financials that were in your packet this month covered us through September 30th. We were at 25% of our fiscal year, with 10% of the school year at this point. Our general fund revenues, our property taxes are almost exactly the same as our collections last year at $28.7 million compared to $28.8 last year. Total revenues are lower this year by 12.83% through September 30th. Our general fund expenditures Our salaries and benefits are on track for this point of the year. One thing we wanted to highlight was our energy expenditures are lower than last year by $1.7 million. It's a 19% decrease of budget compared to 2.6 last year. Our annual energy budget was reduced by $2 million compared to last year, from $11 million to $9 million, and that was based on our actual usage for last year, and we just increased our total energy expenditures last year by 5% for that $2 million reduction in energy. Overall, our total expenditures are running higher this year than last by, we're at 23.26% of budget compared to 15.24%. We detailed in your report our facilities repairs in Fund 300. We were showing $16.8 million in purchase orders for repairs that were currently outstanding at the end of September for work that's been contracted on our facilities. In our eSplosh, we've got encumbered purchase orders outstanding of $10.5 million in eSplosh 3, eSplosh 4. We've got almost $97 million outstanding right now in purchase orders and contracts that have been generated. Our school nutrition program, year-to-date, we are showing a loss of $658,000. At this point, we have not transferred any of our $3.1 million that we have allocated and budgeted for from the general fund in school nutrition. So those are the highlights in some of our accounts and our different funds through September 30th. At this point, I have nothing else to report. If you have any questions on any of the funds.
First, have a motion to approve the report. Yes, yes, yes. Anyone second? I'm sorry. You just have discussion. Let's go. Okay, thank you. Oh, I need more chocolate. Mr. Ketchmer.
Page 35, where we talk about our eSplosh funds, I see a line item of $60 million for eSplosh 5. I'm assuming that it's a transfer from fund balance and it's not that we've actually collected $60 million in 1 month?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
That was the contingency dollars, I think, that we
That was
built
the
in.
monies that, yes.
that's the transfer from fund balance that we voted on as part of the
Fund
budget.
balance,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Those are specifically reserved, sir, for Bull Street and for payments associated with the non-student related, as well as the Georgia Tech invoices and the movement. So that is
Georgia
fund
Tech,
balance.
all those things.
Okay. Anyone else? Continue.
Okay, 10.3. I'm sorry, 10.02, budget transfer, Fund 600, school food services. With the closure of Schumann Elementary, the School Food Service Department is requesting a budget transfer to move all of the revenue and expenditure account lines. The funds must be moved to allow flexibility and control of transfers from central accounts. A portion of the funds transferred will support a satellite school nutrition program that is housed at Savannah Arts Academy. The satellite location provides meal services to various sites. And as you notated a few minutes ago, the details of the transfers are shown in the schedule that has been provided for you. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the budget transfer above in the amount of $1,189,833, moving Schumann Elementary School account lines to the School Food Service Department.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
This is, I guess, more of an operational question, but, so is this like the food service done at a time outside of when Savannah Arts is normally doing their meal preparation?
No, ma'am. This is are running this satellite food nutrition program from Savannah
Oh,
Arts.
so it's just running the program itself, it's not actually the food?
It's the food preparation
Oh, it
in the
is food,
kitchen.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But that food prep happens, I just want, so it doesn't conflict with the food preparation for the Savannah Arts
It
students?
does not.
Okay.
It's, so some of the staff may be pulled to help
Yeah.
prepare those items, but it's basically running the satellite program from Savannah Arts.
Okay, I just know they have a tight window for their lunch periods and just wanted to make sure that that's, I mean, I know you've thought through all that.
Yes, yes, most definitely. It is not impacting the children at Savannah Arts' ability to eat or
Yeah,
any
okay.
of those pieces.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Now this one, we do have to vote on. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Good. Thank you.
Item number 10.03, bid 26-05, school nutrition, paper products and supplies, annual contract. The purchasing department received 15 bids in response to bid 26-05, school nutrition, paper products and supplies, annual contract. The vendors submitted a bid response were Always Available Wholesales and Supplies Services Co-op, Atlantic Tape and Packaging, Central Poly Bag Corp., Forum Plastics Company, Imperial Bag and Paper, doing business as Paper Chemical Supply, Interborough Packaging, Kentucky Cleaning Solution LLC, Nashville Medical and EMS Products Incorporated, Pyramid Paper Company doing business as Pyramid School Products, Sam Tell and Son Incorporated, Southeastern Paper Company LLC and its affiliates, Brady Plus Companies, Haskins Savannah LLC doing business as Haskins Doyle Chemical and Supply, Unipac Corp., United States USA Corp., VIP Office Furniture and Supply Incorporated. The intent of the bid was to select a qualified vendor to provide paper products and supplies for the district school nutrition program. The performance period is for an initial 12-month period with an option to renew for 2 additional 12-month periods. Staff recommended a split award based on the lowest cost to the following items. On your packet, you have the list of all of the vendors, along with the items that they are being awarded and the estimated cost for all of those items. The funding source for this will be school nutrition supply, paper supply account line. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approves the award of bid 26-05, school nutrition, paper products and supplies annual contract to the companies that I named earlier. For an initial 12-month period with an option to renew for 2 additional 12-month periods at a total award cost of $1,843,810.95.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Grabowski?
I Every time I go into a school, I hate to see the amount of disposals we are using. That we are literally throwing money away. I've already had some conversations with Ms. Davidson, and she and her team are being very proactive and looking at ways that we can reduce our consumption of disposables. And in particular, I would really love to see us move away from styrofoam as soon as possible. It is extremely harmful, not only its production and its disposal, but there are also human health consequences of using styrofoam. So I would really, in all plastics, I would really love to see us get away from our overdependence on disposables. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, it's already been moved.
Does Ms. Davidson actually have some means of procuring other items, or is this just a vision?
It's just a vision right now, Ms. Hall. One thing we are looking at is just our consumption of the products and to see how we can reduce that. We're challenged to balance the fiscal responsibility that comes along with that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, styrofoam is cheap, and yes, we know the environmental concerns and other pieces, as well as the time in the line. So our food items are generally pre-portioned into small cups so that it can move you through the line quickly. As we have had more students participate this year in our lunch, we're very excited about that, but it also lends to longer lines, and so we're trying to evaluate all the pieces in lunch to make sure that where possible we can absolutely limit those plastic and other products where possible.
So we're not going into the fine china business anytime soon?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh, I have a question. So have we looked at other districts and how, because I'm sure there are other districts that are doing a better job at this, of reducing the amount of plastics and styrofoam that's used. Have we looked at other districts who are being able to, and I get the fiscal side, but I think being fiscally sound and also health sound is not an either-or thing. So what have we found?
So I will tell you, I have not looked at any other districts. I will ask my team to make sure we keep that in the loop. It is a very comprehensive review. We have taken dishwashers out of our facilities or dismantled dishwashers. So if we choose to go back to a non-disposable product, that is going to be a adjust for capital projects to go back and add in dishwashers or other pieces. So to like historically, you would take your tray. It would be a hard tray. You would get your food, and when you got done, you would take it up to a line in which it would be run through a dishwasher. We don't utilize those in most of our schools anymore.
Would there also be a staffing implication?
Absolutely,
So-
yes, ma'am.
So I don't think you're getting what I'm saying. I think there are other disposable products that are not styrofoam or plastic.
Absolutely, yes. There are
They
paper
are
products.
more expensive, but they're also
Better for the,
Yes.
they're better for our kids.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. We can look into
Okay.
those paper products or other products from a
yes.
disposal standpoint.
Mr. Kachmar.
Yeah, they're compostable products, but they're a lot more expensive. I do remember, and some of us have been on the board for a long time, might remember, there's a former congressman who advocated to give kids their own forks, knives, spoons, and plates and cups, and when they were done eating, they would go wash them themselves and put them away, to have some shared responsibility for keeping the cafeteria and surrounding areas neat and tidy. So there's lots of options out there. I'm not advocating for that. I am advocating for compostable products, though. There's a balance.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Opposed? Did you get that? Okay, cool. No, yes, okay. Yes, you may continue.
Okay, item 10.04, bid 26-06, school nutrition food products and distribution services annual contract. The purchasing department received one bid in response to bid 26-06, school nutrition food products and distribution services annual contract. This bid was advertised to over 700 vendors via SCCPSS Bonfire Portal and the Georgia Procurement Registry. The vendor submitting the bid response was the incumbent, Williams Institutional Foods. The intent of the bid was to select a qualified vendor to provide food products and distribution services for the district's school nutrition program. The performance period is for an initial 6-month period at an estimated cost of $5,167,565.78, with an option to renew for 3 additional 12-month periods. Staff recommend an award to Williams Institutional Foods as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The total annual 12-month estimated cost of this award is $10,335,131.55.
So moved.
Thus,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Catchmore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait,
What?
she wasn't done?
Oh, I'm
You're not
sorry.
done?
thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the award of bid 26-06, school nutrition, food products, and distribution services annual contract to Williams Institutional Foods for an initial 6-month period at an estimated cost of $5,167,565.78, with the option to renew for 3 additional 12-month periods at an estimated annual cost of $10,335,131.55.
So moved.
And second. Discussion. Mr. Catchmore.
I'm a little concerned. We put this out to bid on our site and the Georgia Procurement Registry, and we got 1 response.
Correct.
Is there something about our bid that scared people away, or is it just food is hard to process and deliver in a budget-friendly manner? What's going on?
My understanding is the challenge that we're asking for the vendor to deliver the food to so many individual sites. So in the future, if we did have more of a central kitchen in which food could be delivered to one site, then we're hopeful to have more response. We actually extended the bid, hoping to have more responses, but we only received 1 response.
In that bid, was the delivery to multiple sites a separate line item so we know how much extra that costs?
I don't believe so, but I can pull it just to clarify.
Yeah, we need to do something better next time. This is concerning. Because if they don't want to do business with us, we're not going to have vendors, so,
Yes.
okay.
Anyone else? All in favor? Thank you very much.
Item 10.05, M25857, Financial Assessment and Professional Consulting Services. The Office of Strategy, Innovation, and Performance requests board approval of a contract with Alvarez and Marcel Public Sector Services, LLC of Nashville, Tennessee, in the amount of $1,360,000 to conduct related financial assessments and improvement support. The request aligns with strategic priority number 4, stewardship performance, objective A, which calls for the district to conduct comprehensive and objective evaluations to promote continuous improvement and district effectiveness. The proposed assessment will serve as a tool for monitoring the district's financial performance and guiding short and long-term improvements. Based on the preliminary assessment of the district's financial outlook, processes, and capabilities, SCCPSS has identified the need to strengthen the capacity of the financial division and undertake a series of operational improvement initiatives. This important work will empower SCCPSS to improve accountability and transparency, align financial investment with our strategic priorities, and confirm the financial processes are executed with fidelity. Engaging A&M to provide financial leadership, project management, execution, and change management support will help drive the planning, implementation, and sustained improvements to financial systems and processes without interrupting the financial team's support of day-to-day operation. A&M will augment the financial leadership team, strengthen internal project management oversight, and direct technical support to the leadership and financial teams. Anticipated activities shall include the following: provide executive-level leadership support to the finance department and collaborate with district leadership to align financial practices with best practices and district goals. Establish and lead project management office responsible for oversight of all Phase 2 improvement activities and change management support. Co-develop financial modeling capabilities, including multi-year integrated financial model, as well as improvements to analyze and reporting. Lead budget process improvement initiative to prepare to use a modified zero-based budgeting approach for fiscal year 26-27 budget that advances ROI capabilities. Develop prioritized roadmap of near-term improvement opportunities for SCCPSS's ERP, Tyler Munis, and related systems, and support SCCPSS team in executing priority improvements. Provide analytical and systems remediation support for addressed challenges known and yet to be identified related to the accuracy and effectiveness of financial processes. The process support will engage A&M experts in financial modeling, budgeting, process improvement, and systems implementation, and will provide consistent leadership for oversight efforts beginning immediately and through the 2025-2026 school year. Additionally, A&M's team, which include experienced senior leaders who have provided executive-level CFO support for K-12 and local government institutions. Different from the assessment phase, this support includes on-site activities such as key meetings, workshops, and training sessions. This work will empower SCCPSS to implement priority recommendations from the assessment, strengthen financial management capacity across the district, align programmatic strategy with financial decision-making, and build lasting project management and governance oversight, which will support the district in ongoing financial improvement efforts. Staff also requests the following budget transfer to provide funding for this service. The proposed budget transfer is as follows: transferring from Fund 100, General Fund, $1,360,000 to Fund 100's Professional Services Expense Account. Thus be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the contract to the firm of Alvarez and Marcel Public Sector Services, LLC, to provide professional financial assessment consulting services at a total cost of $1,360,000. And be it further resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the board approve the use of fund balance and the required budget amendment of $1,360,000.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, Mr. Kachmar.
I'd like to move to amend the resolution because after this was posted, I know the district engaged in ongoing communications with this entity about the contract, and there were some clarifications that were shared, I think, since this was posted through today. So I move to amend this resolution to authorize the superintendent to enter into a contract with Alvarez and Marsal up to $1.4 million, and also allowing and providing for early termination by the district if the goals and services that we're trying to accomplish in the judgment of the superintendent have been accomplished, and that the transfer from fund balance to the professional services account listed be 1.4 million and not 1,360,000.
Moved and seconded. Yes, Dr. Haskins, right.
Mr. Cashmore, is the intention for it to be 1.41 million?
$1,400,000.
That is less than the scope of work that was emailed. Are we just comfortable?
What was the scope of
It
work?
was 1,410,000.
Okay, so I will.
Look, I just,
$1,410,000 and no cents.
this amount, this amount reflects potential, an up to $50,000 in travel expenses in addition to the contract fee.
Any other discussion
On the amendment.
on the amendment?
You want me to restate it?
Yes, please.
No.
Please restate it.
Okay. I'm going to withdraw my previous garbled motion to amend and restate my motion to amend. I move to amend the resolution to authorize the superintendent to enter into a contract in the amount of up to $1,410,000 and no cents with the firm of Alvarez and Marsal, and that the contract also allow for early termination by the district if the goals of the contract in the judgment of the superintendent have been accomplished, and that the amount of $1,410,000 and no cents be transferred from Fund 100 fund balance to the professional services line item articulated in the resolution.
Yes. Moved and seconded. All in favor of the?
Discussion.
Any more discussion
On the amendment.
of the amendment? Okay. All in favor of the amendment? All right, okay. Now we have to vote for
The amended resolution.
the amended resolution. Okay. Here we go. All in favor of the amended resolution? Here we go.
Are we not doing discussion on
Oh, we just did.
no, we discussed the amendment. That's the resolution.
Okay,
No,
any,
I'm just following Robert.
okay, any other discussion on the original? Yes.
That's why I
Dr.
moved the
Dr.
original.
Dr. Bree.
Yes, I would like to thank the district for assessing our financial services across all of the district, and seeing that we needed to bring in a third party, an international third party, to do a deep dive into all of our processes, and that we, as a board and as a district, listened to them and said we need to move ourselves forward, And instead of just having somebody hand us a report and then sit on it, we are taking action and moving forward to better budgeting, better processes that really should transform us at the upper level administration, but all the way down to how our schools finance and how we might be able to make a lot of changes to save money for the district across the board. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall.
I think having heard the report from this firm at the retreat, we're all in a position to understand and absorb the complexities they're going to be facing, and we're ready to be cooperative with them.
Anyone else? Yes, Dr. Hoskins-Brown.
I just want to commend our financial team because this is an action that they initiated, knowing some of their weaknesses. I want to commend the superintendent for bringing in a firm that could do the work. This is a big lift to do this kind of analysis, and I want to thank our leadership for being cooperative and working to get the best level of service that we can out of this contract and out of our leadership.
Dr. Howard Hall.
Is this weird? My thing is, you said should, but this is a return on investment, and we shall
Yes.
see the return of this investment because it is astronomical. It's a lot of work that would be involved, so we shall see a return on this investment.
Can I
Yes.
just make a couple
Please,
of comments?
please, Superintendent.
I don't want to, for that dollar amount, I want our community to know that I acknowledge that $1.4 million is a significant amount of money. And I don't want us to just breeze by that, right? That is a lot of money. But the point of it is that I, as the superintendent, will be relentless to build a culture of fiscal excellence in this district. And I will do everything that I can to be sure that every resource aligns with student and student success. And this was necessary. We need the support. We need the monitoring. We need to be ongoing with our efforts to be transparent to the community. And so this is money well spent. It will be a one-time expenditure, and then we will be reset and we'll be able to move forward in a way that I think we can reach that excellent standard that I just named. So I just did not want to breeze by 1.4 because that's a lot of money. But it is needed at this time in a way that is extremely important as we go into a future of maybe some limited resources that we have not had in the past.
So one of the most important duties of the board is fiscal responsibility. I want to commend the superintendent for taking that very seriously. And I want to thank our board for empowering our superintendent to take that very seriously. It is sometimes you have to have difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes when you look in the mirror, it's not as pretty as you want it to be. But I want to assure the public, as Dr. Watts said, this is a very needed investment that will pay dividends. And thank you, board. Okay, now. Yes, Mrs. Hall.
I'd like you, Ms. Nathaniel, first of all, thank you for your service, and I'd like you to extend to the rest of the finance department the board's gratitude on their remaining steadfast and thoughtful and hopeful that this process is going to bring a lot of improvement and excellence to the department. So please thank them for all of us.
I will let them know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, now, now we shall vote on the acceptance of this financial assessment and professional consulting service. It's been moved, seconded. I know we've already had that, but let's, just in case. All right, all in favor? Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, we now have appearances before the board, and we have one appearance now. It's Rick Roney.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moss, board members, Dr. Watts. I have a little piece I want to talk about early education, but before I start that, I want to congratulate you on the vote you just made. This is a transformative thing you've done. It's equivalent to what you did a couple of years ago when you voted to do the science of reading and invest in letters and teach our kids a new technology, with a new technology of how to read. This could be just as transformative as that, so I congratulate each and every one of you. Big step. So today, back to literacy, my favorite subject. As you know, the district is doing a pilot project with Ignite Reading this year. It's in 4 district schools. It's also doing the pilot in 2 charter schools, Savannah Classical Academy and Susie King Taylor. Last month, Jessica Slaversky, who's the CEO of Ignite, came to Savannah to do a visit of the Ignite pilots. I accompanied her to the visits in Savannah Classical Academy and Susie King Taylor. It was quite inspiring to watch those second graders engage with their individual tutors. They were excited, they were learning, they were high-fiving the tutors when they got things right. It was just quite exciting and inspiring. At the end, we talked with the teachers, and the teachers in both those schools were very excited about the support that they're getting from Ignite. One teacher said, I've got 20 kids on Ignite, 15 minutes every day. That's 5 hours of very personalized instruction these children are getting, and there's no way I could do that. I couldn't provide that. So it's a big hit. It'll be interesting to see how the results come out over the next few months and at the end of the year. But I'm very encouraged by how it's going. If you haven't had an opportunity to visit one of the schools and see Ignite in action, I highly recommend you do it. I heard later that the trips to the 4 district schools also went very well, and that the teachers there are excited about what's happening as well. Yesterday, I received an email from Mrs. Slaversky, excuse me, with the results of a new study that was just done by Johns Hopkins on the Ignite program. I think it was done in Massachusetts. The report documented results of Ignite being used in kindergarten and first grade. It showed that if students tested at benchmark at the end of first grade, after using Ignite in kindergarten and first grade, that 85% of them were reading at grade level in third grade with no further interventions. That's pretty dramatic. It reminds me of things I've heard Dr. Watts say and Dr. Barnes, that we're not going to intervene our way out of this literacy problem. We have to get it right in the beginning, and the beginning is kindergarten and first grade. We talk about third grade reading level, but that's not where it happens. It happens much before that. So that's why it's really important to have meaningful KPIs and measures of our progress in kindergarten and first grade. And I know the team is working on those, and I look forward to hearing those measures, I think, in the wintertime, when the mid-year tests are done. So thank you very much. Thank you again for all you're doing.
Thank you. All right. There you go. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? We shall adjourn.